Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor and privilege to introduce our own and beloved CA, Dr. Durgesh Pandey, sir. Sir is a doctorate in forensic accounting from NFSU, National Forensic Science University, and certified fraud examiner ACFE from USA. He is a chartered accountant and practicing in the domain of financial crime investigation, having more than 1.5 decades of experience on advising client on a various area. His exclusive practice in the domain of forensic investigation and financial crime and dispute resolution. He has conducted investigation on about 200 plus cases on financial crime and dispute resolution. He has conducted training for senior IAS officers, IPS officers, IRS officers, ICLS officers, and the list is very long. He has conducted workshops on investigation at Bahrain, Kenya, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Malaysia. He is regular writer and is writing papers published in various national and international journals. We all know CA Dr. Durgesh Pandey sir very much. So with this brief introduction, sir, floor is yours. And I request Dr. CA Rinkesh sir to felicitate the sir.
We are discussing the standards, forensic standards. I really like the way Anand discussed. He's a good friend. You know, a statement which he said which resonates with me. Okay, as a speaker you try to find कि अच्छा line मिल जाए कि कहीं अपने भी चिपका सके. You know, he said a statement that blockchain is a solution searching for a problem statement. Such a beautiful sentence, that the technology is a solution. You have to find a problem for that technology. Now coming to my session, we really had a problem and we are trying to find a solution. So if we discuss, see, I'll tell you, we have 23 standards, forensic accounting and investigation standards as they are called. We have 23 standards, and I don't think any session less than 2.5 hours or 3 hours can do justice if I want to discuss the standards. So we'll be discussing an overview. Yes, my presentation is 44 slides. हर स्टैंडर्ड को एक स्लाइड दिया हुआ है, कुछ बेसिक्स है, कुछ स्टैंडर्ड में 2 स्लाइड भी दिया हुआ है. दैट वे इट हैज बिकम 44. Okay, so we'll be discussing these standards. Now, how and why these standards came into being? Why this is called as forensic standards? And as I said, this will be more of an awareness session. Okay, we'll be introducing the concept and we'll be introducing the area. I understand, I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience. I understand sessions like these or conference themes like these, they attract a very niche audience जो ज़्यादा पैसा देके और पूरा समय देना चाहते हैं, है ना. CP वाले सेशंस ये नहीं होते हैं, इसमें ये ज्ञान वाले सेशंस होते हैं. But alas, I have very less time nevertheless. So first of all, what are these forensic standards? Mind you, these are supposed to be mandatory from 1/7/2023. 1 जुलाई 2023 से ये forensic standards mandatory हो जाएंगे. So by the words mandatory, it simply means that a member while discharging his attest function, he has to ensure that all the standards have been complied with. Any deviation to these standards has to be specifically disclosed. Okay, the simple definition of all standards as we have. Now, so what are these forensic standards? The exercise started during COVID for development of the standards. I was fortunate to be part of the national body of the institute which drafted these standards, which reviewed these standards. I have drafted couple of them. In fact, Anand and me, we have drafted couple of them. Anand was also on the review team. So we have drafted couple of them. Tomorrow Rajiv is coming. Rajiv was also on one of the guidance notes. We are very soon coming with, I mean, those names are of course changing, implementation guides from technical guides. So this was the team. So I was fortunate to be part of this team now. First of all, why do we call it as forensic accounting and investigation standards and not the popular word of forensic audit? भाई presentation लग गया? ठीक नहीं लगेगा तो ना पढ़ दो, तू ये प्रमाणे करो, तो रियलाइज ना करो, आम तो मन मोढे छे वांधो नहीं आवे. Yes, so I was telling, why do we call this as forensic accounting and investigation and not forensic audit? Please understand, the standards nowhere mention this being called as forensic audit. The word forensic audit is not internationally recognized. There is no such discipline as forensic audit. I am telling this despite knowing that the Indian Bank Association comes up with forensic audit, SEBI comes up with forensic audit, SFIO comes up with forensic audit, everybody comes up with forensic audit, but we don't have anything which is called as forensic audit. Okay? So we call this forensic accounting and investigation standard. Now why forensic accounting and investigation standard? See, globally these standards are called as, this practice is called as forensic accounting, dispute resolution, integrity services. They are not called as forensic audit. Second thing, in fact this was discussed, I remember, in Mumbai, and probably our now President Aniket Bhai, he propagated this thought that accounting is a wider body. It is a pity that in India and in popular parlance we equate accounting with bookkeeping, है ना? हमारे यहाँ पे accounting मतलब bookkeeping होता है, but that is not the case. Accounting encompasses audit. हम chartered accountant है, chartered auditor तो नहीं है, क्योंकि accounting larger word है. That is why the word forensic accounting is used. Why audit is not used? Because audit is our bread and butter. अभी भी statutory audit करके जाते हैं तो there is a perception that the books of accounts are sacrosanct. Audit हो गया है तो पवित्र हो गए हैं books of accounts. इसमें कोई गलती नहीं होनी चाहिए. I have to explain at the top of my voice to all the regulators. Yesterday I had a session for chief vigilance officers of nationalized banks and insurance company. 2 days ago I had a session in Delhi for judges. So I have to explain all of them that audit का मतलब ट्रू एंड करेक्ट व्यू नहीं है. हम ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं सर्टिफाई करते हैं कि इसमें कोई फ्रॉड नहीं है. मैंडेट ही अलग है. वॉचडॉग, ब्लड हाउंड, किंग्स कॉटन 1860 का इतिहास है, आज का नहीं है. हाँ, द चेयरमैन ऑफ नाफरा मे से एनीथिंग, आई मीन इट इज हिज ओपिनियन, बट स्टिल वी से, आई मीन ऑफ कोर्स विद utmost respect I am telling that he may have his own opinion, but audit is different, investigation is different. Mind you, 96% of the cases, in 96% of the cases effort is put in to hide the fraud. 96% of the cases. Can you expect simple audit procedure to find that fraud? No, because audit procedures are not defined to find frauds. Unless there is a predicate offense, unless there is a hint, unless there is an idea, कैसे खोज सकते हैं हम? ठीक है, चलो, coming back to the standards. So these standards, the idea is to codify best practice, to clarify the expectations and attribute. So why these standards? Before these standards came into being, and we very proudly at all forums say that we are the world's first accounting body to come up with full set of standards. Yes, सोशल मीडिया तो अब मैं कैसे कहूँ, सोशल मीडिया तो किसी के, चलो यार बोल देते हैं ना, कोई बात नहीं, सोशल मीडिया किसी के बाप की बपौती तो है नहीं. तो उस पर जो चाहे वो अपने फ्री मन से बोल सकता है ना। तो बहुत सारे डिट्रैक्टर्स हैं जो बोलते हैं कि कैनेडियन स्टैंडर्ड है, अमेरिकन स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, हाउ डू यू क्लेम दैट यू आर द फर्स्ट अकाउंटिंग बॉडी। वी हैव अ स्कूल ऑफ पीपल जिनका काम ही ये है ना। अभी मैं ये इसलिए बोल सकता हूं बिकॉज आई हैव बीन एट बोथ साइड ऑफ द टेबल्स। आई वाज द फर्स्ट वन टू कंपेयर all the standards and to produce a white paper to the institutional body that we created for drafting the standards. So mind you, the American standards have one standard, Australian standards have 4 standards, and Canadian standards have 2 or 3 standards. We have 23 standards covering every aspect. It starts with key concept, then we have engagement management, work procedure, specialized area, reporting results, and 600 series we have quality control. So peer review has also been taken care of in the standards itself. Comprehensive set of standards which has taken a lot of efforts. Okay, so that is why forensic accounting and investigation and no forensic audit, so that the stakeholders are not confused with audit and forensic audit. That is why we don't use the word audit. I hope at least this audience refrains itself from using the word forensic audit. ठीक है, चलिए ये स्ट्रक्चर है हमारे फोरेंसिक स्टैंडर्ड्स का, स्क्रीन पर दिख रहा है। कहीं कहीं फॉन्ट छोटे हैं, पर मैं ऐसा मानता हूं पीछे वालों को भी दिख रहा है। देखना चाहेंगे तो दिखेगा, नहीं देखना चाहेंगे तो क्यों दिखेगा, है ना। राहुल दिख रहा है, दिख रहा है ना, ठीक है। सो नो द ब्यूटी of speaking in Ahmedabad is that you know a lot of people, you know people by name. बाहर जाते तो नहीं होता है, but then there's a pitfall also of speaking in Ahmedabad. You cannot speak the same thing again and again. सुनते हैं उनको लगता है कि ये तो एक ही गाना बजता है। So yes, so we have the overarching document. These are the ये presentation आप लोगों को मिलेगा, है ना, मैंने ब्रांच को दे दिया है। तो अगर आप लोगों को नहीं मिलता है तो ब्रांच, मैंने दे दिया है, ठीक है। सो दिस आई एम टेलिंग फॉर पीपल हु want to take snaps and who want to write. It's not required, I mean your wish. So we have 3 overarching document which has the preface, framework and basic principle. Next we have certain key concept. Key concept comprises of 4 standards: nature of assignment, fraud risk, laws and regulation, and applying hypothesis. Then we have second series, we have the 200 series, that is engagement management. How to manage the engagement. So that starts with objective of the engagement, because we have bifurcated the practice into 3 parts. First, forensic accounting, next investigation, and third, litigation support. Next comes engagement acceptance and appointment, that is your engagement letter, terms of engagement, scoping. Then we have using the work of an expert. Okay, if we appoint expert, because most of these assignments, if not anybody else, they do require a advocate. So using work of an expert, engaging with agencies. A lot of these standards come out of assignment where any law enforcement agency like the EOW, Enforcement Directorate, Central Bureau of Investigation, they may be involved. So working with them is a different ball game. So we have tried to provide guidance on that, engaging with agencies. Then we have communication with stakeholders, as to how to communicate with the stakeholders. This communication with stakeholders, we have explained what is the communication, what type of communication, what are the stakeholders. There are primary stakeholders, there are other stakeholders. There is something called as essential matter which has to be communicated. There is something called as significant matter which you can choose whether you want to communicate or not. So we have communication with stakeholders. Next we have 300 series. This is executing assignments. So executing assignments, as simple as that, शुरू होता है planning of the assignment. 320, one of the most crucial standard is एविडेंस डिस्कवरी, आई हैड टू राइट 3 times, नॉट दैट पहली बार में गलत हुआ था, पर इतने सारे लोग थे, परसेप्शन चेंज होते रहा. सो 320 इज लॉ, सॉरी, एविडेंस एंड डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. ओके, एविडेंस एंड डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, दिस इज द कोर of a forensic engagement, because forensic practice is evidence discovery. Of course, we have used the word evidence discovery in this version, but I don't know how many of you are aware the forensic standards are undergoing a change. Before they are being made mandatory, they are undergoing a change. They are undergoing a change, and this change which is being done is diluting some of the words, changing some of the words, making them more representative. So probably evidence discovery will be changed to evidence gathering, because discovery becomes a legal concept, whereas gathering is इकट्ठा करना. हम इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं, whether it is acceptable as evidence or not, that is the court's prerogative. Okay, so this we have evidence and documentation. Conducting work procedure, whatever you do, data analytics, cleaning the data, whatever you do, conducting work procedures. Interviews are a very important aspect. Interviews are taken to corroborate the information that you have. So interviews. Next is review and supervision, how it has to be reviewed and supervised. Testifying before competent authority, a very significant and crucial part in the forensic engagement is testification. आपने जो कुछ भी लिखा, आपको कोर्ट या एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी या जो कोई अथॉरिटी है वो आपको बुला सकते हैं जहां आपको जाना है टेस्टिफाई करने के लिए, जहां आपको जाना है आपके रिपोर्ट को डिफेंड करने के लिए. सो दैट इज टेस्टिफाइंग बिफोर competing authority. Next we have 400 series. 400 series we have data analytics, as to how a detailed explanation is done as to how data should be analyzed. I mean things that we have to take, how data is analyzed. Evidence discovery in digital domain. This again has become evidence gathering in digital domain, but then this version is the approved version from the council. The changes which I am telling, that is just the study group's thought process. Unless and until the council approves it, we study the latest version. Okay. Then loans and borrowings. This is included specifically to cater 49, 43, 45, 49, 66 इंसॉल्वेंसी बैंकरप्सी कोड के, हाँ, आईबीसी के जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन के जो केसेस होते हैं उनको केटर करने के लिए दिस इज इंक्लूडेड. देन वी हैव 500 सीरीज रिपोर्टिंग रिजल्ट एंड 600 सीरीज क्वालिटी कंट्रोल. Okay, this was the broad structure of the standards. Now I have standard by standard slides which I can discuss, which we can go on. So would you like to do that, or if you have any questions I can take that, and then I can take some specific standards and we can discuss. Your wish. I am open to everything. है ना? Silence is not an option. Standard by standard? चलो ठीक. कौन इतना मेहनत करेगा, सवाल सोचेगा और पूछेगा? नहीं, मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. I have gentleman who will be speaking next to me sitting here, and I understand. I am told that he has a flight to catch at 3 PM. तो या तो इनको रीशेड्यूल करा लेना पड़ेगा. चलिए, तो हमारे जो स्टैंडर्ड हैं ये प्रिंसिपल बेस्ड स्टैंडर्ड है. प्रिंसिपल बेस्ड स्टैंडर्ड है मतलब व्हाट, हाउ नहीं. हमारे स्टैंडर्ड में ये नहीं बताया है कि काम कैसे करना है, क्या करना है वही बताया है. दे आर नॉट रूल बेस्ड, दे आर प्रिंसिपल बेस्ड. ओके, सो दीज स्टैंडर्ड्स आर प्रिंसिपल बेस्ड. दे प्रोवाइड व्हाट एंड नॉट How will come detailed in form of guidance notes, and the guidance notes are under preparation. I understand today morning I got a SharePoint link where we had all 23 guidance note, and I'm told that I have to review that in 2-3 days. I really don't know how am I supposed to review 200 pages of literature in 2-3 days with my work full time. वही तो नहीं करते, volunteering है ना वो, ठीक है. Anyways, one more concept, one more thought process is that we want to be, when we say we, the institute, the profession wants to place itself as a thought leader in this domain, so that other professionals who are non-chartered accountants and are doing forensic work, they choose to abide by these standards, and these standards gain an acceptance that anybody who does forensic work should be following these standards. That is also an idea which is being propagated. Let us see. Okay. This is what I have already told. An audit is not same as forensic accounting fraud investigation. Hence, forensic audit is a misnomer. Okay. It's a misleading term. We will not use the word forensic audit. Yeah. So we have 10 basic principles. 5 basic principles are the attributes, and 5 basic principles relate to performance of the work. पहले 5 basic principle professional के attributes हैं, professional के characteristics हैं. Independence, integrity, due professional care, confidentiality, skill and competence. ये professional के गुण हैं. These are the qualities that the professional should have. And contextualization of situation, primacy of truth, respecting rights and obligations, separating fact from opinion, quality and continuous improvement, these are performance based key concept. अभी क्या है, आइडियली तो ये 10 समझाने चाहिए, है ना, 1 by 1 बोला तो चलो एक कोई समझाते हैं ताकि फ्लेवर मिले कि 10 कैसे है. Let us see contextualization of situation. What is contextualization of situation? I am not explaining the quality attributes. I understand skill and competence and independence is pretty well ingrained into us for our audit practice. It is the same thing that we have to extend. ठीक है, तो हम contextualization of situation पहले वाले की बात करते हैं. अब contextualization of situation का मतलब क्या है? When you do a forensic engagement, please understand the choice of words are very cautious in the standard. So there's something called as engagement, there's something called as assignment. Engagement is the complete work, that is called as engagement. So you have engagement letter, whereas an engagement may have several assignments. So if you'll see 300 series, it will be using the word assignment throughout, whereas if you see 200 series or 100 series, it will be using the word engagement. Okay, I hope I am clear what I am saying, है ना, ठीक है. So contextualization of situation. What is contextualization of situation? A forensic engagement cannot be looked upon in isolation. What is meant by that? You have to see the whole picture. If you get a complaint that एक वाउचर गलत है, ठीक है, इट डज नॉट अलाउज यू टू पेंट अ पिक्चर ऑफ फ्रॉड. ठीक है, आपको पूरे सिचुएशन का आइडिया होना चाहिए क्या है कैसे है. ओनली देन यू कैन स्टार्ट द वर्क. लाइक रिलेटेबल एग्जाम्पल बोलते हैं, बहुत लोग उठ के जा भी रहे हैं तो बैठे ऐसा करते हैं. अच्छा, मान लो आप मिर्जापुर का सीजन 2 का एपिसोड 5 देख रहे हो, ठीक है. इट कैन नॉट बी मोर रिलेटेबल देन दिस. हाँ, एटलीस्ट आई कैन नॉट मेक इट. आना करता વધારે રસ તો ક્યાંથી આવે. तो आप मिर्जापुर का सीजन 2 का एपिसोड 5 देख रहे हैं और शुरू हो गया है. नाउ फॉर समवन हु हैज नॉट सीन सीजन 1 और ऑल 4 एपिसोड्स, what will you understand when you watch 5th episode of season 2? Your understanding of the story will be very limited because the characters have not been built in your mind. That is why what do we have? We have something called as recap, precap, to engage the audience and to build the context कि ये situation ऐसा है और अब आगे है ना, ऐसे ही होता है ना, ठीक है. सो दिस इज कॉन्टेक्चुअलाइजेशन ऑफ सिचुएशन. आई रियली डोंट नो दैट इफ यू विल रीड यू विल एंजॉय सो मच, बट दिस इज हाउ वी हैव ट्राइड टू राइट एवरीथिंग. ठीक है, चलिए तो एक एट्रीब्यूट बता के बाकी सब डिट्टो आगे बढ़ते हैं. यस, सो दिस इज दी 100 सीरीज. नो, व्हाट वी कैन डू इज, बिकॉज yesterday I asked for numbers for the registrations and I noticed that we have probably 80% registrants or 85% registrants. No, I have all the numbers. I am not telling the numbers deliberately because that is not my prerogative. है ना, वो चेयरमैन बोलेंगे ना, अपने चेयरपर्सन बोलेंगे, मैं कैसे बोल सकता हूँ कितने रजिस्ट्रेशन हुए, कितने कहाँ से हैं, कितने कहाँ से हैं. वाइट लेबलिंग. So substantial portion, 85-90% of the registrants are from Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar. Not that we are biased for people, those who have come from far away. We are very thankful to you. I personally am very thankful to you for spending your time. If you are here listening to me, giving me this opportunity, I am really thankful. But then let me come to the larger issue. यहाँ वाले जो लोग हैं उनके लिए अपने कुछ closed group में रेगुलर सेशंस करवा सकते हैं इफ़ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड. ठीक है, मैं यहीं रहता हूँ, मैं यहीं अहमदाबाद में ही हूँ, तो हम घूम घूम के गांव-गांव में बताते हैं, गांव-गांव में पढ़ाते हैं. उससे अच्छा है पहले अपने घर में सिखाएं ना. ठीक है, तो अगर आप लोग इंटरेस्टेड हैं बोलिएगा, शायद चार्मी कैन कोऑर्डिनेट एंड वी कैन हैव अ सेशन वेयर वी कैन डिस्कस ईच ऑफ दी स्टैंडर्ड्स इन डिटेल. ओके, चलो. सो वी हैव द फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड एज 100 series is key concept. We have nature of engagement, fraud risk, laws and regulation and applying hypothesis. So let me very quickly discuss each of them. 12:30 शेड्यूल था ना मेरा, 12:45 था. ठीक है, 1:10 तक खत्म कर देंगे, 15-20 मिनट हमको और लगेगा क्योंकि सब स्टैंडर्ड सबको सुनना है. ठीक है, कोशिश करेंगे पहले भी हो जाए, क्योंकि मैं नहीं मानता बहुत सवाल जवाब है. मैंने तो पहले ही मौका दिया, किसी ने पूछा ही नहीं. हाँ, सो वी कम टू नेचर ऑफ एंगेजमेंट. दिस इज द फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड एंड सी द स्टैंडर्ड्स आर डिजाइन्ड इनटू 5 पार्ट्स. ऑल द स्टैंडर्ड्स आर पुट इनटू 5 पार्ट्स. इंट्रोडक्शन एंड स्कोप, ऑब्जेक्टिव, what is objective as to what is the expected from that standard. Okay, so introduction, scope, objective, then we have explanatory comments. Okay, whatever is not clear that is to be explained in the explanatory comments. Then we have documents for compliance. This is a very interesting concept which is introduced in the forensic standard, documents for compliance. What is meant by this? तो standards में say we have 5 requirement that a professional is supposed to do this, a professional is supposed to do that, a professional is required to do this. If this is the language of the standard, how do you demonstrate that you have done everything? How do you demonstrate that you have done everything? So this has already been taken care by the standard. The standard itself says that following document needs to be kept or prepared. Following document needs to be kept or prepared to demonstrate compliance with the standards. Okay, so we come to nature of engagement. Now nature of engagement, as I said, we have 3 parts: forensic accounting, investigation, litigation support. अब ये तीनों में फर्क क्या है, तीनों क्या होता है? The moment we say forensic accounting, it involves the skill of accounting. So recreating books of accounts, okay, finding the missing amounts, and we have a list of engagement which can fall under the definition of forensic accounting. Okay. So first we have forensic accounting, which has money involved. Of course, ultimately it will all boil down to money, but which has direct application of accounting knowledge will fall under forensic accounting. Next we have investigation. So most of the operational issues, so falsification of stock, or probably if a chartered accountant is engaged for POSH offense, that is prevention of sexual harassment, committees होती है कंपनियों में, if a chartered accountant is involved there, if a chartered accountant is involved in looking for what, a bribery allegation, all those things will come under the definition of investigation. So forensic accounting is accounting, investigation is more or less the operational issues, they come under investigation. Litigation support is where there already is a litigation and the professional is called upon to assist the litigation team by preparing some document, testifying, that comes under litigation support. ये लिस्ट लिखा हुआ है, हाँ 110 के पैरा 4.2 में है और 210 के एनेक्चर 1 में है, ठीक है, आप लोग पढ़ लीजिएगा. इन्वेस्टिगेशन एंड लिटिगेशन सपोर्ट. अभी इसमें है ना, आप लोग जगह जगह देखोगे ये फैक्ट विटनेस एंड एक्सपर्ट विटनेस, वी हैव पुट 2 points. So these two have been merged when we have the new edition, and we will be having testifying professional rather than fact witness and expert witness, because this was creating a lot of legal complexity. Okay. So these are the 3 types of engagement. I hope it is clear. ठीक है? Anything we need to discuss if you want? No? Very good. So next we have fraud risk. ठीक है? अरे मैं तो very good बोला कि अच्छा है ना? I don't know why the subtle smiles. It's good, you should keep on smiling. मोइज हंसते रहने का, हंसते तो रहने का ना. चलो, तो बहुत अच्छा तूने आनंद को जवाब दिया. गुड. यस. सो फ्रॉड रिस्क. Now, in any engagement, the logic is that if I land up an engagement and how do I execute that, that is the sequence that has been followed for the standards also. So first we decide the nature of the engagement. Next we have the fraud risk. Now what is fraud risk? If you get an engagement, if you start some assignment of the engagement, not everything is equally important. Not everything is equally risky. So what you do? You prioritize. You start finding which is the riskiest part. किस पर ज़्यादा resource लगाना है, किस पर ज़्यादा ध्यान देना है. Also comes reputational risk. बड़ी organization में reputational risk भी होता है. बाहर बात चला गया तो, ठीक है. So this is fraud risk, where the objective is to prioritize and identify the fraud indicators. Okay? Prioritize and identify the fraud indicators. This will help you in developing the hypothesis and doing the work procedure. In fact, review and supervision that we had 360 was testifying, 350. The review and work communications 340 review and supervision भी इसी से होता है. ठीक है. So during the course of engagement, the professional shall prioritize the work to identify fraud indicators. Yes, I didn't start this with a disclaimer. Please note, these presentations are not prepared by me. These presentations are prepared by our leader who was responsible for, he was our Sherpa. He was responsible, we were the sheep. He was helping us to walk in one direction. हरीश दुआ साहब के बनाए हुए ये प्रेजेंटेशन है, ये उनका प्रेजेंटेशन है, तो इसके सारे कंटेंट और ओनरशिप जो है इट वेस्ट्स विथ हिम, and these are the presentations which we use as a standard to discuss the standards. Okay, so it's a standard presentation to discuss the standards. इसमें लोगो वोगो भी था, वो मैंने हटा दिया, नहीं तो ऐसा होता है कि it is the institute's opinion. Okay, so next we have laws and regulation. 130 is laws and regulation. Now what does this say? Laws and regulation says that an engagement is conducted either by operation of a law or it may emerge out of a contractual relationship. मतलब क्या, सिंपल प्लेन इंग्लिश में क्या, या तो किसी ने कहा कि भाई आप हमारे कंपनी का इन्वेस्टिगेशन करिए, स्टॉक का इन्वेस्टिगेशन करिए, तो वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट हुआ, है ना, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट हुआ, अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर दिया, हम इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रहे हैं, या किसी सेक्शन में किसी एक्ट में मेंशन किया हुआ है कि आप फॉरेंसिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन करवाइए, जैसे इंसॉल्वेंसी बैंकरप्सी कोड में है, ठीक है, उसमें भी वर्ड फॉरेंसिक नहीं यूज किया हुआ है, आईबीसी में कहीं पर भी फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट वर्ड्स नहीं यूज किया हुआ है, एंटायर आईबीसी हैज नेवर यूज्ड द वर्ड फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट इन द एंटायर एक्ट. The word which is used is called as transaction audit. Specific transactions, those transactions are under section 43, 45, 49, 50 and 66. These are called as PUFE transaction, preferential, undervalued, fraudulent and extortionate. ठीक है, चलो let me come back here. So laws and regulation says that there are two types of law. One, you have direct impact law. Okay, direct impact law is something like the Evidence Act or the Information Technology Act, which are applicable for all engagements. Or you have engagement specific act. Say you are investigating a case of royalty fraud, तो आपको माइंस एंड मिनरल्स के जो लॉ है वो आपको पढ़ने पड़ेंगे. कॉपीराइट वायलेशन देख रहे हो तो आपके कॉपीराइट एक्ट जो है वो आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा. सो दोज आर एंगेजमेंट स्पेसिफिक लॉज. ओके, लेट अस मूव फॉरवर्ड. The next point is applying hypothesis. Now this is the most crucial part of a practical engagement which I understand. What is applying hypothesis? Hypothesis is a provisional unproven theory which needs to be tested, and you start everything with a hypothesis, assumption. आपको मान लीजिए इन्वेस्टिगेट करना है, तो एक थॉट प्रोसेस शुरू कहां से करोगे? शुरू करने के लिए कुछ प्रिजम्पशन चाहिए, कुछ एजम्पशन चाहिए, कोई थॉट प्रोसेस चाहिए, उसका आप क्वेश्चन फॉर्मेट बना के हाइपोथेसिस बनाएंगे. અને પછી એ હાઇપોથેસિસ માટે તો આપણે ટેસ્ટ કરતા રહેવાનું, ટેસ્ટ કરતા કરતા આપણે એવિડન્સ ગેધર કરવાનું, એન્ડ ધેટ એવિડન્સ વિલ ગો ઇન 510 રિપોર્ટિંગ રિઝલ્ટ્સ. બરાબર, ધેટ ઇઝ હાઇપોથેસિસ. હવે હાઇપોથેસિસ એજાઇલ હોવું જોઈએ, ફ્લેક્સિબલ હોવું જોઈએ, it should be capable of being changed, it should change with the situation. How to develop a hypothesis? Probably the guidance note also has, or implementation guide, whatever it will be called, it also has examples of how to create hypothesis. Okay, let us come to 200 series, engagement management. Now under engagement management we have 5 standards. Engagement objectives. Now depending on the nature of engagement which we had under 110, we will have engagement objectives as to what is the objective of this engagement. Next we have engagement acceptance and appointment. Now why do we have these two? See, a lot of thought process has gone into this. Why engagement acceptance and appointment and not just engagement acceptance like we have in our accounting standards? Because audit हम accept करते हैं, forensic investigation में अगर CBI ने आपको अपॉइंट कर दिया तो आप उनसे एंगेजमेंट लेटर तो मांग नहीं सकते, वो तो वर्क ऑर्डर देंगे, so that becomes your appointment letter. Okay, then we have using work of an expert. जैसे हमने एक इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया था, बड़ा ही टेक्निकल इन्वेस्टिगेशन था, 100 करोड़ के करीब का डिस्प्यूट था, हमने इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया था, So we wrote that we have done a desk job. We have not visited any of the premises of the company, and whatever we are doing, that outcome is only understanding of the paper. We have not seen the physical building, infrastructure, radar, sonar, Hawai Jahaj, whatever is the asset. We have not seen that. So the client was strongly objecting to that कि आप ऐसा कैसे लिख सकते हो. मैंने कहा तो आप दिखाओ, और आप दिखाओगे तो मुझे समझ में भी तो आना चाहिए. मान लो आप बोलोगे कि चलो ठीक है हम पैसा फूंक देते हैं, आप देख लो, मुझे देख के समझ में क्या आएगा. तो बोले आनो रस्तो शू. मैंने बोला नाउ यू आर स्पीकिंग समथिंग. आनो रस्तो शू, आनो रस्तो एवं कि जो करता है उसको दिखा दो, उसको दिखा के उसका रिपोर्ट दो. तो हम ऐसा लिखेंगे कि फलाने फलाने साहब ने जिनका 20 साल का अनुभव है, जो यही सब देखते हैं, उन्होंने देख के ऐसा बोले कि उन्होंने देखा, हमने तो अभी भी नहीं देखा है. वी आर रिलाइंग ऑन हिम. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, इट मे साउंड वेरी ग्लैमरस. इन्वेस्टिगेटिव वर्क है ना, बड़ा ग्लैमरस लगता है, ऐसा लगता है सीआईडी देख रहे हैं, पर बड़ा रिस्की काम होता है ना, बहुत जोखिम वाला काम होता है. क्योंकि यू डील विथ फ्रस्ट्रेटेड एंड डिसग्रंटेड ओनर्स. दे हैव नथिंग टू लूज. अभी जेल में चले जाने वाला है, એને ખબર છે સીબીઆઈ આવવાનું છે, બેલ થવાનું નહીં. So he has nothing to lose, and what do you have? You have everything to lose. So it may sound very glamorous, but trust me, it's a challenging job. है ना. शुरू होता है प्यार से, नहीं ऐसे तो कैसे होगा, आप जरा देख लेते, પછી પૈસા આપે અને પછી ધમકાવે. ठीक है. So using work of an expert, engaging with agencies, communication with stakeholders. Let us quickly see engagement objectives. As I said, 3 parts. It is just an extension from 110. We have to determine the objective, and entire work has to be dependent on the objective. Okay. So these are the nature of services which is given. The fonts are very small, but then you can read it, or everything is available in this book. ऑनलाइन भी है, ये मिलता है, फ्रीली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होता है. मेरे पास 2-4 कॉपी है, यहाँ नहीं है, यहाँ तो एक ही है, वो भी मैं मेरे ऑफिस बॉय से मंगाया, मैं भूल गया था. तो किसी को चाहिए तो मैं दे सकता हूँ. अच्छा, તમે કેમેરા સેટ કરો, મને તો તમે હાથ ઊંચો કર્યો કે તમને જોઈએ છે, તો હું તો મૂંઝવાયો કે કેમેરામેનને શીખી જવું છે. આઈ હેવ ટુ સ્પીક ડેમ ગુડ કે કેમેરામેનને શીખી જવું છે. Yes. So next we have engagement, acceptance and appointment. As I said, this engagement, acceptance and appointment is like this engagement, acceptance it's my cue that I have to finish fast. So engagement, acceptance and appointment, as I told, the acceptance part is simply like in contract act what we have, that we accept the engagement. In appointment part, it is if we work with the law enforcement agencies, like we work a lot with law enforcement agencies, so that is the engagement, acceptance and appointment. So it has to be made clear, scope has to be defined, time duration has to be defined. ठीक है, ये सब इसमें है. Using work of an expert, अभी इसका भी essence ऐसा है that you have to engage an expert sometimes. Okay, you have to engage an expert sometimes. Now there are 2 things to it. Either the professional engage an expert, so everywhere the word used is professional. Okay, we have not used the word accountant, or it is the word accountant is not used. So the word used is professional. So either the professional appoints the expert or the client can appoint the expert. कि मन तो आज expert गमे छे, हमने ज राखो. ठीक है. But in all the cases, please understand, responsibility of your report lies on you. If you disagree with the expert, reasons for disagreement has to be disclosed. If you agree, no issues. Of course, no issues only if you disclose what he says, huh? But reasons of disagreement has to be disclosed, mentioned, it has to be told. Okay? Then there are other points that you have to have a mechanism where the work procedures and the working document of the expert is in such a form that you can have access to whenever you want to. Okay? So that is for the expert. है ना? Engaging with agencies. Now this specific, yes please.
There may be a scenario wherein my expert has given some kind of like opinion that the document, for example, it is a digital document. He has said the document hasn't been tampered. But when during your investigation it is being found that physically the document has been tampered. So should the standard cover that scenario?
So see, I'll tell you, if during my investigation I come to a conclusion that the document has been tampered, and only then I'll be engaging an expert to take his opinion. ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि अपने पहले एक्सपर्ट को भी लगा देंगे और उसके बाद अपने भी अपना इन्वेस्टिगेशन करेंगे, दोनों सिचुएशन तो नहीं आएगा. तो पहले no, it's not that the client has already engaged. Ultimately you are taking the expert's view in your report. You may choose to disagree with the client that we will not be continuing with this expert, or I cannot rely on this expert, because this incidence has nothing to do with your existing engagement, because your engagement has started after somebody else was doing his work. So you may choose to take his work, you may choose to ignore his work. You have to disclose if you want to take his work, or if you don't want to, I mean it is your wish whether you want to include him into the investigation or not. It's always your choice. ठीक है, बट हमेशा ऐसा ध्यान रखने का कि उसने क्या काम किया वो हमको एक्सेस हो सके, क्योंकि कोर्ट में जब तुम देने जाओगे जबानी, whenever you go to testify in court of law, you have to have access to that. ठीक है, and trust me, that is bad, very bad. क्रॉस एग्जामिनेशन इज बैड. हम तो क्या ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में खट्टी मिट्टी सैंडविच बना के दे देते हैं. कोई बोले खट्टी तो बोले हाँ खट्टी है ना, ये बाजू से काटो तो खट्टी लगेगी. ठीक है, बट दिस इज नॉट दैट. यू हैव टू राइट शार्प. So this is engaging with the agencies is when we are appointed by a law enforcement agency. SFIO appoints a lot of people, Enforcement Directorate appoints a lot of people, EOW appoints a lot of people, Anti-Corruption Bureau, at least in Gujarat, appoints a lot of people. We have a lot of friends doing work for them as well. So this comes into when engagement is done with agencies. So due professional care is the basic principle which we read. That has to be taken care of here, and of course the degree of integrity and confidentiality increases because you are engaged with a agency. Okay, आगे बढ़े. Communication with stakeholders. As I said, we have two types of stakeholders, identified stakeholders. One is primary stakeholders, and other than primary are considered as secondary stakeholders. Okay, and we have two types of important communication: essential matters and significant matters. What is essential, what is significant here? Now what is the purpose of this standard? The purpose of this standard is to establish a protocol. When we will say कि communication हो गया, क्योंकि इसमें तो बहुत dispute है ना, आपने हमको बताया ही नहीं, आप हमको बताते तो हम रास्ता निकालते. तो ये पहले से ही डिसाइड हो जाता है, और अगर पहले से डिसाइड नहीं है तो स्टैंडर्ड फॉलो करो कि मैंने इतना किया तो आपको बता दिया, ऐसा माना जाता है. ठीक है, પછી આપણે કાનમાં જઈને મંત્ર ફૂંકવા ના હોય. So this is communication with the stakeholders. Now coming to 300 series. 300 series is executing assignments. This is the execution standards. So it has more to do with actual work. ठीक है, actual work है, इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा principle based है नहीं. So we'll just run through very quickly. So the first part is planning. Okay, the first part is planning. Like all activities, like all engagements, planning here simply is having more knowledge about the client's business, considering the risk, discussion with the stakeholders, determining the technology, deciding what interviews you want to take. All these will come in planning the assignment. And please note the change in the language assignment from engagement, okay, because this becomes a small part. Okay. Next is evidence and documentation. Now evidence and documentation, we have two things here, one is evidence, one is documentation. Whatever you choose to present as evidence will fall under the definition of evidence. Everything else, rather evidence included, will form documents. There are two words. Evidence has to be reliable and appropriate. This is the old language. The revised language, I have not put that, a reliable R small में, appropriate capital A में है. वो आज सुबह में जब मैं चेंज कर रहा था तो मैंने करेक्ट वाला लिख दिया था, पर फिर मैंने बोला कि अभी काउंसिल ने अप्रूव नहीं किया है, मैं कौन होता हूँ करेक्ट बोलने के लिए, है ना. तो इसीलिए फिर हमने लैंग्वेज चेंज किया. अदरवाइज दी एग्जिस्टिंग और द चेंज्ड लैंग्वेज इज evidence is supposed to be relevant and reliable, documentation is supposed to be appropriate and sufficient. Relevant and reliable and appropriate and sufficient, these are the words used for evidence and documentation. And mind you, evidence is the crux of a forensic assignment. Okay. Now this is conducting work procedure. I don't think this requires a lot of discussion, both the things, conducting work procedures and review and supervision. This is how the work is to be done. Develop a work procedure, form a team, apply the relevant tools, technique, processes. Okay, it has to be agile and flexible. The team should be agile and flexible. So all these things are covered here. Conducting interviews, again, conducting interviews is that your document, your fact, whatever you have found out, it has to be corroborated by interviews as well. आपको ईमेल में मिला है कि अगले ने बोला है कि हाँ रिकॉर्ड फॉल्सिफाई किए, तो आप इंटरव्यू लेके उसके मुंह से भी ये सुनना चाहोगे कि नहीं, या डिनाइबिलिटी भी सुनना चाहोगे कि नहीं. ठीक है. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, इन एनी फॉरेंसिक एंगेजमेंट द क्वालिटी ऑफ एविडेंस हैज टू बी सुपरलेटिव. We don't go by preponderance of justice, it goes beyond reasonable doubt, because these are criminal offenses. तो हम जैसे ऑडिट में एविडेंसेस होते हैं वैसे एविडेंसेस यहां पर नहीं चलते हैं. बहुत लोगों को झपकी आ रही है यार. No, I can see. The beauty is I can see. That also people in I'll not say what rows. It's too obvious. Of course, I cannot see back there. क्या करूं, इतना टाइट पेस्ड है ना कि मैं इधर उधर भटकूंगा तो समय खत्म हो जाएगा. तो और सब लोग यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं राह देखने के लिए, झपटो. So we have conducting interviews. Next, review and supervision. As I said, review and supervision is simple supervisory that is done in all engagements, all assignments. So examination of work performed, oversight of team, all these things are covered in review and supervision. Testifying before a competent authority. Now, here we see we have two terminologies, fact witness and expert witness. Now I understand very soon we will be having a single terminology as to testifying professionals. We don't have fact witness, we don't have expert witness, we just have witness, because the Evidence Act does not recognize this fact witness or expert witness. So how do you testify before a competent authority is discussed in this. There should not be any conflict, and while testifying you are supposed to discuss only facts. You are not supposed to color, or you are not supposed to paint the report with your own opinion. क्या होता है ना, रिपोर्ट लिखना एक आर्ट है. मैं बताऊं, एक लैंग्वेज रिपोर्ट में ऐसा लिखा है, a important document was kept in the drawer which should have been reviewed by the supervisor. एक ये भाषा हुआ. दूसरा भाषा ऐसा हुआ, a very confidential and sensitive document was deliberately kept in the third drawer of Mr. So and so. There seems to be a malified intention. अभी मेलाफाइड हो या नहीं हो, हमने उसको मेलाफाइड कर दिया, ठीक है। तो दूसरा वाला लैंग्वेज नो, पहला वाला लैंग्वेज है ना। रीडर के विजडम पर छोड़ो आप, क्या मेलाफाइड है क्या बोनाफाइड है। प्लीज डोंट बिकम द जज एंड ज्यूरी। नो पासिंग ऑफ स्टेटमेंट ऑफ गिल्ट और इनोसेंस। आप ये नहीं बताओगे कि अगले ने चोरी की है या नहीं की है। चोरी हुई है, फर्जी सिग्नेचर से हुई है, इनके पास चेकबुक था, अभी किसने फर्जी सिग्नेचर किया वो तो कैसे पता चलेगा, वो तो वहां पे खड़े रहना पड़ेगा ना, ठीक है। हाजरी में करे तो ज આપણે કહેવાય ને કે મારા देखता આને સહીઓ કરી, એવું તો ક્યાં થાય, અન કરે તો તમે હાજર ના રહો ને, ठीक है। सो टेस्टिफाइंग बिफोर competent authority. This is specialized area. So we have covered 3 specialized area. We plan to cover more: applying data analysis, evidence discovery in digital domain, loans and borrowing. So first is data analysis. This is how data should be analyzed. I cannot go a lot into detail. We have the implementation guides which will be out soon, so you will understand how of it. This is what should be done. Chain of custody is important, that has to be taken care of. Evidence discovery in digital domain, this is the same what Anand was telling, the hash values, it has to be maintained, chain of custody is to be maintained, documentation has to be maintained, mirroring has to be done. You have to ensure integrity of the evidence as and when you produce, okay. Loans and borrowing, this tries to answer a lot of queries which we have in the insolvency and bankruptcy practices, which we have वो वापस से 43, 45, 49 PUFE ट्रांजेक्शन्स को कवर करने का कोशिश किया हुआ है लोन्स एंड बोरोइंग्स में, ठीक है। सो लोन्स एक्सटेंडेड और ऑब्टेन्ड थ्रू इनअप्रोप्रिएट और अनएथिकल मीन्स, एसेट्स ऑफर्ड और सिक्योरिटीज लोन। अभी क्या है, कुछ तो इसमें भी कलर्ड वर्ड है, अनएथिकल है। व्हाट इज अनएथिकल? देयर इज नथिंग सच एज अनएथिकल, ईदर इट इज लीगल और इलीगल। एथिक्स, देयर इज नथिंग लाइक एथिक्स. Ethics is different for each of us. What may be ethical to you, what may be ethical to me, may be unethical to you, है ना? So we just have law. Anyways, see, I'll tell you, हमारे समाज में एक अगर जो 65 साल के व्यक्ति अगर किसी 22 साल की लड़की के साथ रिलेशनशिप में हो तो ये हमारे समाज में अनएथिकल माना जाता है, करेक्ट? आई शुड सी अ मोर नॉड्स इफ यू आर रियली लिसनिंग टू मी, है ना? अभी तो चाय जती रही बात थी, बट दैट इज नॉट इलीगल, दैट इज रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन टू कंसेंटिंग एडल्ट्स, ओके? सो दैट इज व्हाई आई से वी हैव नथिंग लाइक एथिक्स, इट हैज टू बी लॉ. And minimum barometer of law, minimum barometer of code, minimum barometer of ethics is codified into law. सोसाइटी का मिनिमम बैरोमीटर जो होता है एथिक्स का, उससे लॉ बनता है. साइकोलॉजी का कॉन्सेप्ट है, किसी और दिन वहां जाएंगे, ठीक है. देन वी हैव रिपोर्टिंग रिजल्ट्स एंड क्वालिटी कंट्रोल. रिपोर्टिंग रिजल्ट्स इज द कंक्लूजन. I always say in my office and I always have a fight कि कितना ही अच्छा काम किया, अगर आपने रिपोर्ट नहीं अच्छा बनाया तो તમારું કામ તમારા ઘરે લઈ જવાનું. થોડુંક ઓછું સારું એ કામ કરો પણ રિપોર્ટ જોરદાર બનાવો તો એ વધારે વખણાય, ठीक है. So reports are very important. My experience says not just the standards, of course they emphasize a lot of things that this has to be included in the report, this can be excluded, this should be there, everything is there. My experience says that at least 20%, 25% of the time should be devoted to preparation of report. 20% प्रोजेक्ट का टाइम रिपोर्ट बनाने में देना चाहिए, और रिपोर्ट इतना बढ़िया बनाना चाहिए कि आपके रिपोर्ट से अगला असाइनमेंट आपको मिले. आपका रिपोर्ट स्टैंड आउट करना चाहिए. थोड़ा पैसा खर्च करो, कलर प्रिंट आउट लो, स्पाइरल बाइंडिंग कराओ, है ना, स्टेपलर लगा के ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट में दे दो, पढ़ने का मन ही ना करे. ये टोनर 6 महीने આપણે રિફિલ કરીને ઘસ કરીએ, ठीक है. So this is reporting result. I mean, this is the content is given, title, address, scope, approach, all these things. Next we have quality control. It is like a peer review mechanism. There has to be a quality control parameters, preferably the quality control partner has to be from the firm, somebody who understands, who has to check. So that is about quality control. There has to be a continuous quality control, okay, continuous quality control happening for the engagement. With this we finish our commentary on the standards. I hope it will add some knowledge to you. It was more on a introductory side. It was more on an introductory side. It is my duty in all sessions to ask. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Yes, I do see some hand raised. Boliye.
Like you said, the FIES will be mandatory from 1st of July, and you also said that it is under review as well, undergoing a change as well. Why the committee need to came into conclusion that there was a need to change the standard before it was implemented,
So 2-3 things.
and from which angle it has been changed?
Yeah. So couple of things. I am able to answer this because I am part of the review committee. See, I'll tell you, when you create something, it's not possible to create the perfect version. So we had created an imperfect version, that is our perception. Had I not spoken it, you would only be aware that there is a different version coming by way of a notification. Correct? है ना? So it is my honesty that I told you that something is being revised. और पब्लिक डोमेन में भी है, इसीलिए बोला, नहीं तो नहीं बोलता. एक्सपोजर ड्राफ्ट आया है कमेंट्स के लिए, ठीक है, एक्सपोजर ड्राफ्ट का भी मेल आया, एक और चीज पढ़ने का है, वो तो कंटाળી ગયો, એટલું બધું વાંચવું પડે છે. હા, તો because we didn't create the perfect version, that is why the change is needed. Second, what was your?
From which angle it was changed?
So evidence discovery, like we have used the word evidence discovery. अभी एविडेंस डिस्कवरी से क्या है, एविडेंस डिस्कवरी बहुत बड़ा बोझा पड़ता है. The moment you start using the word discovery has been taken from the Indian Evidence Act. तो एविडेंस डिस्कवरी में बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं जो हमको एज अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट एविडेंस एक्ट का हमको नॉलेज नहीं होता है. तो हमने क्या किया, हमने वहां पे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट को प्लेकेट करने के लिए और to put a reasonable burden on the chartered accountant, the word discovery has been changed with gathering. We have used fact witness and expert witness. There is no concept of fact witness and expert witness in the Evidence Act. And we took several opinions from very senior advocates where they said that as a chartered accountant you will be always called as an expert witness unless you yourself have been either victim or perpetrator of the fraud. ठीक है, तो ही आप फैक्ट विटनेस होते हो. अगर आप इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए जाते हो तो आप एक्सपर्ट विटनेस ही होते हो. These thought process and these feedbacks when came, that is why the standard was already launched. It is in public domain since a year. ये feedbacks आए हैं, इसीलिए to address these feedbacks, these changes are being proposed. Okay, I hope I have answered this, sir.
There is a section in the Companies Act 14310.
Yes.
On the fraud reporting.
Yes, more than 1 crore to central government. Yes, sir.
Now, the way the things are happening,
Sir.
the things are changing, I feel that there could be a clause in the CARO whereby whenever there is such a investigation procedures carried out, the auditors may be asked to report on this, and therefore this may become the interlinking between the regular audit that we carry out as well as the adherence of the Companies Act. And second thing is about the professional skepticism. So generally we are expected as auditors to follow this professional skepticism. These words are absent here, I suppose.
No, sir, they are there in the standard. I didn't speak that.
Okay.
My bad, I forgot. They are there.
Okay.
Skepticism is very important and they are there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure what standard, what para. Otherwise, I would have told that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, your first point, what you said, that we don't want it to go to Karo. We absolutely want it to disconnect because we don't want to burden our statutory auditor with forensic audit without being paid. Correct, sir. But that is not our objective. We don't want that. But it is overflowing and we are helpless in that. ठीक है? I hope we are good. Chalo, that was my time. Thank you so much for your patient hearing.
Let me give heartily vote of thanks to the faculty. Durgesh sir. Oh, sir, please. आपने उनका सेशन पूरा सुना हो तो यू माइट गॉट द आइडिया ही डज नॉट हैव द ओनली नॉलेज ऑफ दिस स्टैंडर्ड्स बट ही इज ऑल्सो कंट्रीब्यूटिंग फॉर फ्रेमिंग दो स्टैंडर्ड्स. And again, sir, I would like to add one more thing. In the last 5 minutes, you told that exposure draft is there for the comments. So I request all of you to read that exposure draft and please send your comments to the branch. So as a branch also we can send comment that Ahmedabad Chartered Accountants are reading the exposure draft and they are giving the comments, and we can also send from the Ahmedabad branch. Every month we are sending such comments from the Ahmedabad branch. So on behalf of Ahmedabad branch, I am requesting to all the participants. And sir, thanks a lot. You are from the Ahmedabad and you are international faculty, but whenever Ahmedabad branch is calling you for any session, you are always available. That's privilege for Ahmedabad branch. Really, I am thankful to you.